When you go to the movies, if the projector breaks, you end up sitting in the dark. But Pete Trudgeon is going to make sure that doesn't happen.
What is your actual title and discuss the kind of job that you do?
Actual title is booth manager or booth management. Covers everything from running the films themselves to projector maintenance, building, breaking down of prints, and a little paperwork here and there.
So how'd you get started in all this?
Just started out as being your usher concessionist type, and then jumping from theater to theater, being a jack of all trades, and then basically becoming a manager, leaving that job and quite honestly knowing the right person at the right time who needed somebody to, who knew actually only how to thread projectors, which was good because that's all I knew how to do, and got set up here. Aside from actually threading the movies, there's maintenance on all levels. There's stuff to do before you actually thread. You check your oil, you clean your sprockets, you clean the lenses, you check your exciter or sound ball, make sure that looks good. And then there's monthly maintenance, everything from simple cleaning of things to maybe if something needs to be repaired. These projectors have to have oil when they're running. Some projectors take two kinds. There's sound head, and then there's projector oil, which they all have, and they all have to have oil going through them. These are machines that are running at long hours and for long periods of time, and if there's not enough oil, they're almost like an automotive engine. If you don't have oil in your car, you know what's going to happen. It's going to heat up. Eventually, it's going to lock on you. Your car's not going to work anymore. The bulbs have to be maintained. The projector bulbs have to be maintained, basically because of their expense. And if a bulb isn't maintained and breaks on you in the middle of the show, it's a good 40 minutes till you can get the thing on screen. At first, you have to you have to wait at least 10 minutes for a bulb to cool down, take the old bulb out, put the new one in, and sometimes you have to realign the bulb itself so you can have an even spread of light. So it can be a long process if you're not on your toes. And you're talking about, we use three types of bulbs. There's 16 watt, 2,000 watt, and 3,000 watt. And they're putting out a lot of power. And if they're not maintained properly, well, you know, what's going to happen?
You ever take one and just throw it just to see the explode, or hear the explosion? Or have you ever
no.
heard one drop?
Yeah, I've heard one drop before. Yeah, it's rather loud. But that's one of the reasons that there's that cool down period. They get very hot, and there is actually always a possibility that if they could explode on you, which face full of glass is not really a pleasant thought.
How did you learn projection?
Well, when I was working as a manager for the Oakland Mall, we had a union man, but he was only there basically during the weekend, so the managers had to basically handle the running of the projectors. So my GM at the time just taught me how to thread, and by repetition just learned to do it faster and faster. And basically all projectors, they have minor variations, but more or less it's the same basic thing. I've got it down till I can do it in about 90 seconds. So.
You ever watch some of those movies that you throw up?
When I have the occasional 5-10 minutes in between starting one projector or another, I'll look in and watch 5 or 10 minutes here. To be honest, though, that's the ironic thing is I'm working in a movie theater, and to be honest, most of the movies aren't worth watching more than 5 or 10 minutes of. So, you know, I think basically there's an air of mystery of the booth, kind of, because people are just used to sitting down and watching the movie. So when a lot of people come up here, they're kind of surprised about what it looks like, how big the prints actually are, even to how they're built, which is even rather simple, just to the size of the projectors and everything. Because a lot of people really don't get to come up and see this place. It's kind of, it's known it's there, but it's kind of in the back of their heads.
How are the prints built?
Rather simple. You get it, depending on the film, it can go from anywhere to 5 to as many as 10 reels. Sometimes you have to rewind the reels. It depends, but you take the smaller reels and you basically just rewind them onto a bigger reel, and you strap them onto what's called a rewind table, and attach them by the leader to the platter, and you've got a switch that controls. Basically, it's just a flip of the switch and a turn of a dial, and the platter takes up the film, and you just add piece to piece, and basically taking it apart is pretty much the same process in reverse. I always remember the first movie I ever built was The Doors. It was a big movie, it was 8 reels, and we watched it that night after hours. But to be honest, if I build a movie and watch it afterwards, I'm very uncomfortable because I'm always waiting for a mistake to show up, like a bad splice or something like that. So it's kind of hard to enjoy a film when you're watching for your own possible screw up. I notice picture quality a lot better, and when I see a defect, I know what causes it. To be honest, if I go to a theater, I usually wait till the movie's been out a few weeks, because that after-hours viewing, when it's only you and maybe a few other employees, it's rather comfortable. And now if I go to a packed theater, I'm very distracted because people have a tendency to talk continuously before, during, and after, and it doesn't always relate to what's going on the screen, and it gets very distracting.
Any like horror stories, like film breaking or anything like that? I'm pretty sure the phone breaks a lot.
Well, occasionally. It's usually, if a film breaks, it's probably because there's a lot of, the splice has gotten dirty and it'll just snap. No, actually the last disaster we had didn't happen to me personally, it happened to another guy, but we had a lab defect in one of our prints, and he cut it out and then had to reassemble the film, and it kind of wrapped around itself and was dragged off of one of our platters. And I've had to deal with that, and it's a really big mess, and it takes forever to get it straightened out. If you've ever seen movie film in a big tangled ball, it is not pretty. It is not fun to have to straighten out. It can take a long time. Usually if some smart alecky kid decides to pull the fire alarm, which incidentally usually also shuts off all the projectors, and we've had our city blackouts. I don't know, I can't say there's been anything really weird. There's been some really bad messes made, but I can't say there's anything really weird that's happened. Aside from free films, I kind of like it because although I've worked with people and I've done customer service, this job is really better suited for my personality. I'm left here alone. I don't have anybody looking over my shoulder. Basically left to my own devices, so it's probably the privacy, yeah. But like I said, I'm not really a people person, so this is perfect for my personality.
All right.